All right, folks. Listen, I told you last season I'm going to start this season off with a string of conversations with people that I like, that I find interesting, that I know you're going to find interesting. I actually know this gentleman because we started out in the same place, in the same city. You probably know who he is. I'm pretty sure most of you know who he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ralph Harris.
Hey man, hey, that was a heck of an intro.
Well, none of it. Well, it's
Nice,
all
nice little
true.
lead in.
Yeah. Well, it's
What's
all
that?
true.
It's the hometown. It's where I got my start, and my city will always be special to me. Philly made me, and raised me, and my village is in Philly. However, um, I had to get out of there to have some the kind of value that I wanted as an entertainer. I think any hometown person, you got to leave your hometown in order for your value to increase. You know.
This is very true. Now, and keep in mind, you're not just speaking to Philadelphia right now.
No, 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 no. I'm just
yeah,
talking about you. You called me. You said I'm from the hometown, so
yeah,
I'm addressing that
yeah,
as part of the intro.
yeah. I just wanted to make sure, yeah, because I wanted to make sure that you know that there's probably about 5 countries listening to you right now. I just wanted to be sure. Just wanted to be
That's
sure.
even better.
Because
Yeah.
the thing is cause it was really weird because I have a weird feeling. Even though we know of each other, we've known of each other for a long period of time. But
Mhm.
when I see you do these things, like I mean, I've seen the Last Comic Standing HBO special, Comedy Central presents the TV
Uh-huh.
program. It was weird for me in a good way because when I watched you do all of these things, it was kind of like watching my hometown team win in the playoffs. you know, you know,
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was like that.
And
You know what I'm
and
saying?
and I totally understand that feeling because that's how I felt watching Will Smith take off. When
Hmm.
you know that somebody from the hometown is winning at the game, the whole town is winning.
Hmm.
Because I don't go anywhere and not say where I'm from and who I represent as a citizen. So I totally understand that feeling. Is what I'm saying.
Hmm. Because it's really weird because when I remember because the last time I physically saw you and I was thinking I was like when was the last time I was actually in the same place with Ralph and I finally remembered what it was.
What's that?
And you're gonna go it was that long when I explained to you this is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I was living in Los Angeles. See right there, right there. You know
Okay.
how long ago it was. I'm standing outside the
Uh,
Laugh Factory with Keith Robinson because I was driving him around when he would ever come to L.A.
Knucklehead Keith.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, that's hilarious. You would drive. He convinced you to let him drive him.
Oh hell no! I've done too many shows with Keith to let him drive my damn car. Hell no! You know,
No,
you
I'm
can.
saying he convinced you. He convinced you for you to drive him is what I'm saying.
Oh no!
Keith.
I had to shut up because when I was 17, 18, and 19, he dragged me
Oh
around like
yeah,
his
you
baby
got.
brother.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, you got to just drive and shut up. Keep your mouth shut. That's Keith's rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Keith.
I was
I
in.
know him well. That's my brother.
Yes, indeed. I did a. I was traveling with him. I think we went to New York. He was doing some sets up there. Patrice was up there, and we were going up
Uh
there.
huh.
He
Right.
we go into the comedy club. He gets his car taken uh by the police, and we
What?
had yeah, his car got taken because he parked someplace where he shouldn't have. And
Oh my God.
he goes, "Man, f this. I'll just get another one." I'm like, "You ain't rolling like that yet, stupid." That's what I said to him. You know,
So wait. So Keith got his car got impounded.
I don't know what he
Oh
did
no
after that.
he got repoed. His car got repoed.
Not that was that was that was just like one of the weirdest things. I was like, he was a little bit too calm about it. I'm like, if I walked out of
Yeah,
the
right.
club and my car was gone, I'm punching everybody in the
Right.
throat. you know, and he's like,
Right. Pretty much.
no big deal.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Now
pretty
your
much.
now your trip basically was from back in Philly, and you went to New York first, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to New York, and because I had representation, I had people.
Mm.
Kim Coles was one of those people who just kind of let who introduced me to my manager in New York was Tony Camacho, and uh, Tony, kind of brought me in. I did my thing, and then the next thing I know, um, I'm there and working Catch a Rising Star, and I'm telling all the guys from Philly, come on, y'all, stay close, because me and Keith and a guy named Rocky Wilson, we started something called Comedy Express,
Yeah, I remember that.
and so what we vowed to do was just always stay together. So we were just gonna pull each other. Whoever got through the door, we pulled the other one through the door.
Mm.
And so when I told them all, I said, all right, y'all, I'm making my way to New York. Let's go. And Keith was like, nah, I don't want all that. New York's fake. New York is phony. New Yorkers think they this. New Yorkers think they that. I said, Keith, if you don't shut up and come on and let's go to New York and do it. And he just was, Keith is a feel guy. Like, if he don't feel it, he ain't going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And even if he did it, if he's not feeling it, he's not going to do it to his best of his ability.
Mm-hmm.
He just and the truth is, it has worked for him to do it the way that it feels most comfortable for him. So I never argue with Keith's way of doing it for Keith, but I just knew I was led to do what I did, so I just kind of went with it. And he called me stupid, as you know, and and that sort of thing. But anytime Keith was rough on me, it was my motivation to keep going, because I know I must be doing something right. If Keith is pissed off at me, I must be doing something right.
Well, yeah, Keith is one of those dudes that, and I know this from riding in the car. Keith would rough you up like the. He roughed you up.
Yeah.
Anytime he called me up one time. I was supposed to do a gig, and I was doing the door at the Comedy Factory outlet, and I was just a kid. I was like 17, and I go, yeah, man, I don't know, I don't know if He goes, what do you want to be, a doorman or what? You punk, get your dumb ass in the car. I'm coming to your house, and you better be there.
Yeah, that's Keith. That's Keith. That's the guy we know. Yeah.
Now, how did you feel? Now, this is something I wanted to know, because we had similar things in the beginning stages. Did you feel any kind of culture shock going from Philadelphia to Manhattan to do stand up?
No. Well, the shock was it was like getting off the couch and realizing you weren't the big fish no more.
Mm-hmm.
So I jumped right into a fire that I was like at the bottom of the ladder again, almost instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I dealt with it. I said, okay, this is what it is. Because I knew there was a guy named Louis Ferranda,
mm-hmm.
who he eventually went to Caroline's, but Louis Ferranda used to book the Catch a Rising Star Club in New York, but he also used to book, what do you call it? Catch a Rising Star in Princeton,
mm-hmm.
New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
And it helped me also get into the Catch that used to be in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew I had to go through that road to get there. And so I went from being a guy who could go on stage anytime I want to getting to New York and getting on stage literally at 2:30 in the morning. I would arrive at Catch a Rising Star at about 9:00 at night, thinking, well, there just might be some chance that if I stand near his face, which is what Mario Joyner told me to do at the time, stand close so he can see you. And I figured, well, that'll do it. And the truth is, it didn't help nothing. It didn't help nothing. Nothing. Took me right at the bottom of the rung. I mean, Louis used to look me dead in my face with a look like, why is he still here?
Yeah.
So that culture shock, that shock right there was enough to make me go, okay, the next time he walks past, I'm going to smash him. I'm going to punch him square in his face. And the truth is, Mario Joyner saw my anger building one night, and he pulled me aside just as I was getting ready to smash him. And Mario talked to me, and he said, "Hey man, listen, you just got to hang in there, cause it's not about him. It's about what you're trying to do ultimately." And I said, "Okay, well let's go." And so I just kind of hung. And Mario, right soon after that, he started getting his show on MTV, the MTV Half Hour Comedy Hour.
Mm-hmm.
And Mario told me I was one of the first people he called to do sketches and little things with him, and I ended up doing the set and everything down at Daytona Beach, and then things just kind of snowballed in New York. The more I started getting TV exposure, everything just kept changing.
Now, how did the sitcom come about? Because that is a that's tough. Even getting anywhere near that, let alone.
Well, the sitcom thing was I had done Arsenio Hall
Mm-hmm.
show, and what happened is that because I did Arsenio Hall, my tape was over at ABC,
Mm-hmm.
and ABC transferred my tape to Miller Boyette, who used to do the show, who did the whole TGI Friday lineup. And because they were looking for somebody to put on the show with the Smollett, they, I guess I ended up being the guy that they like, we can have this guy who plays this old man so well be the person that will be the adult figure of the children, because what the premise was, it was called On Our Own, by the way, the show.
Mm-hmm.
And what the premise was, it was like Mrs. Doubtfire. So the kids were going to go from, their parents passing away to raising themselves, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, I was on that. As soon as I saw you getting the TV show, I was watching it.
Oh yeah. Well, mid-90s. I mean, everybody in Philly was giving me a whole lot of love because it was the Philly guy, outside of after Will Smith, who got a whole lot of attention, and Keith and all of my boys back home were like, "Man, just keep on going," and I'm like, "Okay," I'm like, "When are y'all coming?" But okay, I'm gonna keep on going. So, but that was kind of how that took off.
Now, then when I asked you about the culture shock, and I wanted to ask you about culture shock twice, because when you told me about the I like to refer to it as the ass whipping, which everyone gets when they go to New York. You're kicking butt in your hometown, and you go there and you realize I'm one in the top 1% in my hometown, so I'm going to New York, and I'm in the bottom 1%.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to tell you. I went from going on stage to barely going on stage inside the city.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is.
Now, the culture shock I really wanted to ask you about was when you go 2,986 miles left on the map, and now you have to start over.
The absolute accurate mile distance.
I wrote. Hey, the first time I went out there, I was on the bus. But believe me, I felt those miles, man.
Hilarious.
I felt those miles. Every damn one of them.
That's right. You took the bus from Philadelphia to Los Angeles?
Yeah, I wanted to make some stop. The thing is, I got a kick out. It was like a really dumb idea, because I was like, hey man, it'll be kind of cool. Because it ain't like I didn't have the damn money. You know what I mean? So I was like, it would be cool, man. Yeah, yeah. Halfway through, the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
What the hell was I thinking? But when I got out to LA, I want to find out, because when you go from Philly to New York, there's a culture shock mainly because of the bulk of comics and the quality, because of the amount of stage time they were able to get. They would get 4, 5, 6 times more stage time than you can get in Philly. But then you travel out to Los Angeles, and it is a whole different universe in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, you got deeper in than I did. What did that feel like when you got there? Because to me, I was like, oh my God, what the hell is this?
When I got to LA,
Mm-hmm.
when I got to LA, I purposely waited until until I had something going on. I mean, you don't want to go to LA if you ain't already got the interest in you and
Mm-hmm.
in who you are. And so, because Tony was my manager, you know, we had the affordability to be able to wait until LA was calling for the right reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out and I did a couple visits. My first thing I ended up going to LA for was because Tony got me on VH1 Stand Up Spotlight when Rosie O'Donnell was the host.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got me on there, I now got a reason to
Mm-hmm.
go to LA, and I know I'm gonna be working, doing something. And so I go and do it. And that night, while we're there doing it, we also ended up going and doing a few spots around town.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing a few spots around town, I ended up doing. I'm gonna say it in a minute. My brain slows down every now and then. I ended up doing a spot at the Improv in Santa Monica,
Mm-hmm.
and after doing and the night that was all in the same night, and I did a spot at the Comedy and Magic Club. But when I went and did the spot in Santa Monica, the my agent, who would eventually be my agent, was a lady named Diane Camp. And
Mm-hmm.
she was at the Triad Agency at the time, a really, really big agency in L.A. And we got a call from her the very next morning. Like, she reached out to Mark Lanow, who was Bud Friedman's partner,
Mm-hmm.
and asked, who was that kid that went on? And I went on after a whole lot of heavy hitters that were just doing open mic night, the who's who of headliners at the time. And all she wanted to know was who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up going to that meeting and signing with them. And then the first thing that happened after that was they had me do another showcase. And Lorimar Television, which was a subsidiary of Warner Brothers at the time, and Les Moonves was the head of it.
Mm-hmm.
Les, a 1-year holding deal for whatever they were going to come up with. They wanted me to be, the lead actor on. So, things just kind of took off like that. But like I said, you get to LA and, you know what? I forgot to. Okay. Hold on. So I'm sorry. I told you I'm out here running these errands, man. You got me doing an interview in a real life situation right now. So because of Lorimar put me in that deal, it also raised my cachet and exposure around LA. So now everybody wants to know, who is this kid that literally came to town, been here barely a minute, and he's already in deals? Who is he? And so it made Bud want to know, because Bud at that point hadn't seen me yet. And it wasn't long after that I ended up doing evening at the Improv.
Mm-hmm.
And then sitting on my money from the deal at Lorimar that was not a lot of money at the time, but it was enough to kind of hold me over and hold the attention
Mm-hmm.
of the people. And so, yeah, that was kind of how that ended up going.
Hold it a second. Now, I was just talking about how happy I was for you and proud and all of that. But now that I know everything lined up so good, I take all that back. I'm jealous now, damn it.
It didn't line up. It didn't line up on anything that was lucky. It lined up because as a straight stand up, I was sharp. And when I went on stage, I was likable. I was sharp. I was a new face and fresh and all of that. And so,
make no mistake. Make no mistake, man. I know you were ripping the game from the beginning. I was there. I saw you.
Yeah.
I was there back in the Comedy Works. I saw it. I know you were ripping the game.
Oh yeah.
Let me ask you this though, because this is something I was wondering, because you did a lot of things over the course of time that most comics, like when an artist goes platinum, and you can say that most singers would like to go platinum. You got the sitcom thing going, you got the TV spots going, HBO half an hour comedy hour and all this. Of all the things that have happened over the course of time, because you've hit some big spots, boom, 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 boom. Which one was the one that you went? Because I know that some of them, like some spots you might go, yeah, I got this, yeah, I worked hard, I got it. But what was the thing where you went, whoa, good Lord, I'm in, or good Lord, this is big? What was the first one that just hit you in the mouth?
The TV show at ABC,
Mm-hmm.
TV show at ABC was pretty substantial,
Mm-hmm.
on our own.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I think gave me the aha,
Mm-hmm.
it was getting the movie Dreamgirls.
Ah, yes.
And I got Dreamgirls. When did I got Dreamgirls in 2005. I auditioned for it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got the call that I got it in December of '05, and they told me that I got the role. And at the time, they were looking at Cedric the Entertainer and Steve Harvey and all these other people who were already a name. And I knew they had gone in, but then I get the call 2-3 months after I did it. And it was like, oh my God, I'm going to do a movie with my hero. And, my comedy hero was Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy who I watched, who, when I saw him and his relatability to my age and generation, versus like an old school comedian like Cosby or Red Fox, Eddie was the guy who made me dream that it made me believe that the dream was possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was within reach. And so to be doing a movie with him, I'd already met him. I had been to his house and talked to him a little bit, very briefly. But to be doing a movie and be on the set with him and watching him and be him,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh man, this is it right here. And so that was really awesome for me. That was the one that kind of choked me up. I had to call my mom and be like, "Hey, Mom, you can't believe right now, Eddie Murphy is 10 feet away from me, and we get ready to shoot the scene." I was like, it was amazing. It was amazing.
You know what the funny thing is? Even though obviously I knew about that and I'd seen the movie, I didn't even think you were going to say that because that's so gigantic. But it happened after you had already been established as a person. You know which one I know what I thought you were going to say? I thought you were going to say the HBO half an hour comedy hour.
Well, what a lot of people don't know, or you may know,
Mm-hmm.
I had done just about every talk show on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I even did the Pat Sajak show. I did the Keenan Wayans show. I did the Vibe show once they changed the host, and I think they went from Chris Spencer to Magic Johnson. I'd done everything, and so by the time I got the HBO special, I felt more like, oh, this is another rung on the ladder that I already identify. It's stand up. I can do stand up in my sleep, and so.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
New ventures were the things that would really just catch me off guard, and doing movies was a new venture. Like the first time I did a major TV show was Seinfeld. Like that was my first major TV show. So it's like, I got a lot of big first. But here's the thing: is when you're climbing and trying to get there, when it happens, you don't even really realize the rare air that you're in the middle of. You're just doing it. You have to perform. You have to rise to the occasion. And it doesn't really hit you until your mom says, well, what night does it come on and what channel? And when you get that call from the East Coast that it's 37 people in your family sitting at your grandmother's house getting ready to watch you on a TV show. And then you go, oh yeah, this is a pretty big deal. That's literally how it hits me.
That's why I wanted to get your perspective of that. That's why I wanted to get your perspective of someone who was done. See, the thing is, when somebody has done a lot of things, when someone's looking at it from the outside, as an observer, as a fan, you don't understand the perspective of the person that's there doing the thing, because you've knocked off a
Yeah.
bunch of TV spots, and I've seen
Yeah.
most of them, obviously. But the thing is,
Yeah.
from the outside, you're going, it's got to be the HBO, because you remember how hard, you remember what HBO specials, when they dropped in a half an hour comedy hour, back then it was a damn event.
Oh, everybody, because they dropped 2 or 3 of them at a time, and everybody was sitting around watching. Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
it was an
yeah.
event, because I remember when it
But
came
but
out.
you
Yeah.
but you got to understand, like I said, by the time I did one, they had already done it for several seasons. I mean, Damon Wayans, everybody was, they had done theirs before me.
Hmm.
And so by the time I got to doing mine, it was like I booked the HBO special. I knew the day I was going to shoot it, but I had 3 other things to do that week,
Hmm.
like major things, and get to a comedy club.
Hmm.
So it's like I think that even to hear somebody talk about my resume and the things that I've done, I hear your excitement when you talk about it. I hear my family's excitement, but I'm literally sitting here trying to figure out how to master social media and be a content creator.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to, sell out venues,
Hmm.
in this new age of how to reach people. So, it's like when I walked up to Danny Glover when we shot when we shot Dreamgirls, and I said to Danny Glover, I said, man, if I can only tell you how big a deal that movie was to me and my family. And Danny kind of looked at me real stoically, and then he said, man, I did that shit 25 something years ago. I was like, oh, I thought he was going to be as excited out as I was that it was, but everybody on set was saying the same thing to Danny that I was saying, and everybody on set is reminding this man of something he did 25 years ago, and in between, God knows how many different jobs.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, because it's just like I said. That's why I wanted to get your perspective, not only of the New York thing. I want to talk about a few more things. I know you're out there running errands. You got a few more minutes?
Yeah, I'm pulling up at my house right now, so yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Now, because when I was, I remember we connected on Facebook, and you would come down through the street through the news feed, and I'm seeing all these exotic locations behind you.
Oh yeah,
I'm going.
yeah.
I said, okay, what in the blue hell is he doing? Because I know that stand up is global now. I mean, there's so many
Uh huh.
places they
Hmm.
see us on TV and movies, and obviously with social media now. Good Lord, you'd be surprised. I mean, I'll get emails from people, and you could, they'll write in their accent, hey mate, great show, mate. I'm going, mate, what the hell?
Right.
You know, you know.
Right.
I'm
They
going,
write in their native tongue. Yeah, yeah,
and I'm going, well, mate. I go, where are you from? Australia, New Zealand, and all these English speaking
yeah.
countries that I didn't even know were listening to
Right,
me. So,
right.
but the thing is, when I saw this, I was like, what is he doing? But you were doing, and I always thought this was a cool thing, because I have been on cruise ships, and I know how much fun that is to be. But when you did the cruise, that's why I wanted to ask you about that. What was that experience? Because now you're going places by yourself, most likely, and now you're in a different country, and now you got to sit. I don't know how long you got to sit there while everybody's running around, but I mean, how was that? Because you started in
I don't
clubs.
know what you mean. I got you. What do you mean when you say I got to sit there while everybody's running around? What do
I
you
mean,
mean?
do you travel? I mean, because when you travel, you did show you did do cruise ships, correct? And then you would travel. You would go to the different locales. Did you bring people with you, or did you travel around in? I mean, do the sightseeing and things of that nature as well.
Occasionally, I would bring people, yes, but the cruise world is it's like this rare thing that comedians get to do,
Hmm.
but it's special in the sense that you got a captive audience that you get to again be the star in a very specific area and genre, but it's not the norm. It's by far from the norm. Like people who only have you and three other options for entertainment are very, very appreciative. But at the same time, if they don't like you, they don't have a problem telling you they don't like you. Because they feel like you take the guy who's from the middle of the middle of the country, who him and his wife saved up all year to go on the ship, and whether they paid $2,000 or $10,000, they want $1 million worth of entertainment. And because of that, when you work on a cruise ship, the expectations are really, really high. And some guys can phone it in, but I'm not a phone it in type of person. Like when I'm getting ready to go and perform, I feel like my reputation is on the line every time. So I give them the show like it's the show that I've been waiting to do all my life,
Yeah,
and
it's like
that's why I've had success. And
it's
that's
like,
why cruise ships have
go
taken
ahead.
me the other part of around the world that I've never seen, because I've been most of the way around the world, but cruise ships took me the rest of the way.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about the one man show, Mannish Boy. Now, as someone who's been extremely successful on the stand-up side, now you move into theater. And I know, much like boxing and mixed martial arts, there are similarities, right? But like boxing and mixed martial arts, even though some of the skills translate, I know that I'm assuming, because I've done a couple of those myself, but I'm assuming that from when I saw, because I've done some of the theater classes and, breaking down this and breaking down that and character work and voice work. When I moved to the one person show, it was still a different skill set that I had to learn. It was like 40% the same, 60% different. And you have the show. And what is your perspective of going from stand up and then sliding over and doing a solo show? Because I know you did a lot of character work in your act.
If you know my stand up, my one man show. You never saw Mannish Boy, but Mannish Boy was, by the way, the first name I had for Mannish Boy was North Philly, because I was from North Philly, and the whole idea was that the characters in my play were going to be the village that raised me. It was going to be me, populating the story of my life with these characters who were so integral to me being who I am, or becoming who I am. And so in putting the story together, I just needed a premise and a relatable concept, and I hit it right on the nose. And then I lucked up and started working with the right people to develop it, and I wrote every word. Every word was pretty much things that were already in my act, and so I just reframed it for the theater. Because I'd always, like as you said, I'd always been doing the characters. So I just did a little bit of tweaking, and the next thing you know, I got a theater piece that is derivative of my stand-up show. And from there, I went on the road and did it in a couple of different cities and states, and it's critically acclaimed now.
Oh, I saw the reviews, bro.
Yeah.
I saw those.
Oh yeah.
They weren't like the ones. They weren't like the ones when you see a movie where they get a rave review and it's like really tiny in the bottom.
Right.
You actually got reviews from people that are like that you can see their name. You know what I'm saying?
That's hilarious.
It was like this
true.
Great play, Ralph's uncle. It wasn't none of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Now this is what this is. This is what I wanted to find out too. Is like when you were doing that. This is the thing, and I don't know if anybody's asked you this, because like I said, I've seen the beginning of what you did because we were in the same places, so I knew you did character work already, and obviously that translates over. But what I wanted to find out was when you go back to doing stand up and not the play, how much of doing the play has informed the stand-up? Has anything been pulled?
Doing the play made me more confident with quieter moments in stand-up. But see, I also studied with the Groundlings in the mid to late 80s. That was another thing that Kim Coles led me to. And I ended up studying with the Groundlings. And one of the principles of improv is you're supposed to play the line true. You're not supposed to play it for the joke. If you play it true, the comedy will be even bigger. And that's what happened. That's what I learned. Yeah,
it's amazing.
By the time I got off the stage doing the play, I was just so much more confident doing my stand up. But at the same time that I was doing the play during the week on weeknights, I was doing stand up on weekends. I made sure that I kept the balance, because what I made from my stand up gigs financially fueled the play. Like I had to pay a staff in order to work on my show. And so in having to pay the staff, I'm like, I gotta go and make this money.
You're a businessman at that point. you know what I mean? It's like you're running a business. Instead of as a solo practitioner, you're running a business. You have to pay staff. Yeah, it's a weird. Let me ask you this. Now, I'm assuming this is a dumb question. I know you have recordings of it, obviously, but is this something that once you put this out? So I'm assuming is at some point you're going to take this, produce it, and release it. After that happens, after it's on Netflix or HBO Max or Hulu or Amazon Prime, after that's done, because sometimes people will do something like, say, Managed Boy, that's your magnum opus. It's like, this is the thing I wanted to do. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. It's done. It's worked. It's successful. People like it. It's got great reviews. Now it's on HBO Max and 5 million people saw it. Oh, it's like, are you going to do something else in that realm? Will you create another play now that you've done this successfully?
I'm already writing another play now.
I knew it. I'm
writing another play now. Well, once you know how to do it, you really don't go through the major big old steps that it used to take to do the first one, because now you know the time that doesn't need to be wasted and the things that don't need to take all of your energy to do.
Yeah, you become more efficient.
So now I've learned the steps that I need to take, and I'm also writing a pilot right now for a TV show that is loosely based. Well, not loosely based. It's based on the backstory of Managed Boy. So
that makes sense.
The backstory that's going to create the storyline and content for this next project. Yep.
Yeah, that makes total sense, because you've already done the prep work. You've already essentially test run it in front of people and know what works. Yep. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yep. Now let me ask you this, because when you see like let's say John Leguizamo, right, Mambo Mouth, Orama and Freak. Yeah. Do you see yourself sliding into that groove where like every 3 years there's a new Ralph Harris one-person show?
Well, I would love to, but John was doing that at a different time.
Yeah.
So I can keep writing them all I want to, but they may not get that kind of exposure. HBO is no longer. When was the last time you saw somebody's one-person show on HBO?
Good Lord.
So there's different platforms to run it on, like streaming platforms and things like that. But but you just may not see it on the standard HBO that we grew up watching. And you may not see me doing it. I may write the play and hire some actors to play the characters, but it's still my thing. It'll still be my story.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the new, like you were saying a few minutes ago about the new platforms, streaming services, YouTube is bigger than anything, podcasts, live video and things of that nature, because COVID has kicked everybody in the throat, as far as going live.
The streaming platforms, It's the streaming platforms that once the networks figured out that they could still create content and get it to people, and now sell it to people a la carte, which means they could make more money for the thing they used to make less money with. They it's the same for everybody. Once we all figure out how to use the platform, we could all benefit from the platform.
Yeah, it's really weird because I was saying this to somebody before. I said when you had the bundles on cable, the most expensive cable channels were about $2. Now, now I think like $2.50 at the most, maybe $3.50 for HBO.
Yeah.
Now you're paying. I'm paying like $15-$16. Just for Netflix, let alone the other ones I have.
Netflix alone, for Netflix. But I'm sure financially you're happy too, because what you're paying for Netflix is leveling the playing field so that all the other portals are more affordable. Like, because they have to it keeps them honest,
I'm a straight up cord cutter, man.
Yeah.
I'm a straight cord cutter.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm learning how to use them, and I feel positively about them. I don't have anything bad to say about another way or opportunity to reach the masses. I just don't. I don't have no bad thing to say about it.
Hey, I can relate, because this podcast that you're on right now, which is what's actually bigger than my original podcast. This one's bigger than that one, and this is only 2 years old. It blows it. The other one's doing really well, but this one just blew right past that one. That one is 7 years old. This one is like 2 years and change, which is really weird, because this is what you were saying about doing your second, your second one person show. You became incredibly efficient, about how to do it, streamlining, workflow, and all of a sudden the second one is like all of the energy that you don't have to divert to learning how to do something can now be directed specifically at the creative process, because the workflow is just so smooth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, I just want to say, man, I want to thank you for coming on, man. I mean, I know, because we talked, I knew you were squeezing me in.
I knew you were squeezing me in. Between traveling, also finding creative ways to continue to make a living while most things are down, taking care of my mom, trying to make sure that, everything in LA is still being serviced, like my voiceover auditions, commercial auditions, and then my real serious approach to trying to become a content creator along with all of that is, it's just like, it's a lot of time and a lot of energy. So
you're in LA,
I wasn't trying to, there was no lack of respect for what it is you were doing. It's just that I was like, I want to do, because I don't do many interviews and podcasts unless I have something very specific I want to push. But because you were, persistent and you were patient, I said, no, I got to do this one, because, if he's willing to put the time in, I am too. This is reminds me of my early hustle.
And more importantly, because we started out in the same area, I have several disgusting dark secrets that I would have exposed had you not come on from back in the 80s.
Any dark secrets you got about me, and if you weren't in the room with me, is made up. That's the truth. If it's a dark secret and you weren't in the room, somebody made it up. Trust me.
Well, I just want to say
a whole lot of myths and fables about Ralph Harris.
Yes, and I just want to say for the record, Ralph was joking about that. I was not in the room for any of this stuff. I was out the prayer circle, and that's all I got to say about that.
No, I'm saying, if you got a deep dark secret about me, you were not in the room, meaning that there is no secret. Because I'm telling you, I got a pretty stellar reputation. If I'm doing something that I don't want nobody to know about, ain't nobody around but me and whoever else I'm committing the crime with.
You know what the funny thing is like
what?
Yeah, obviously you got to clean the rap, to be honest with you. But the thing is like anything that I've done that is weird,
Yeah.
or that would probably embarrass a regular person, I use it.
Right.
You know, I've either been on stage doing shows about it. It's been on my first
Right.
podcast. So
Right.
a
No,
boatload of people have
that's
heard
the way
about it
to go.
already. You know, so it's
That's
like, you
the
know,
way to go.
yeah, yeah. That's the funny thing about the whole situation is that doing, you know, as a live performer, stand up comic, actor, whatever, podcaster, and like me, a comic podcaster. It's especially when you get a little older, because I'm 52. When you get to the point where essentially you are a machine that takes in experiences. You know, like I said, somebody said it to my last guest. It's like the hamburger comes in and we grind it, you know, and impress it
Yeah.
up and then
Yeah.
cook it and give it to people. You know, it was a mess
Right.
when it came in, but once we're finished grinding it and
Right.
seasoning it up and giving it to them, they got something nice to eat.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
My friend,
Absolutely.
my friend, I just want to thank you for coming on, my brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
I'm happy watching you rip the game. And
Yeah.
when I move back out
It's
there, I'm
still
going to
at it.
follow you around and stand in your face like you did with that club dude.
And that's when I'll have security escort you away. So you take care, man, and I thank your listeners and the people who are listening and subscribing to the program. And I appreciate the interview, brother.
All right. Take care, my brother. Keep ripping the game.
All right. All right.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
All right. You dug that, didn't you? See? What did I tell you? More importantly than anything, I want to thank you guys for coming back, showing support for the show. We have some cool guests coming up in the coming weeks, and I want to thank you for checking out the previous shows, and I look forward to seeing you, rather hearing you. Wait a minute, I can't see or hear you, but just kidding. I can see you. I'm in your phone. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Much love to you. Take care.